How we doing? How we doing? This is Destination Denver, Colorado, and today we are going to talk about one of the most popular and growing, and personally one of my favorite suburbs of the Denver metro, that is Parker, Colorado. And this is everything you need to know before making a move to Parker, and we're starting right now. All right, this is Destination Denver, Colorado. I'm your host, Jimmy Everetson, and there are two things we try to accomplish here. One, we talk all things eating, living, breathing, experiencing the Denver metro, the Colorado Front Range. And two, as a licensed mortgage broker covering the entire state of Colorado and teams with some of the state's most talented realtors, I'm helping people like you move here each and every day. So the number and email on your screen, just know that if I can be a resource in any way, I am always the person. Answer your phone calls, answer your texts, answer your emails. There, when and if you need me. Now that we're done with that film code stuff, let's get to what we're here for, and that is everything you need to know before making a move to Parker, Colorado. So Parker, Colorado is rapidly becoming one of the most popular suburbs in all of Denver. And this has been kind of a growing trend, especially when we talk about suburbs to the south or to the east of Denver. So Parker is located roughly, with no traffic, 30, with some traffic between 45 minutes to an hour if traffic is significant, from downtown Denver. It is a bit of a drive, which is why one of the thoughts of titling this video was, is Parker worth the commute? Now, located again to the southeast of Denver, Parker is on a high plain. It is sitting roughly 5,900 feet above sea level. Denver is at about 5,300. So obviously your temperature is going to be pretty similar. Parker does tend to accumulate more snow as we go through the year, but not a huge difference. Now, the one thing, and we're going to get into neighborhoods, we're going to get into schools, we're going to get into amenities, but the reason I start with weather is it's one of the things, especially this time of year, I'm making this video in December, that people bring up. Parker, being on the plains, being on the high plains, it's not a mountain town. You have certainly some rolling hills and some gulches and things like that, but because it's on that high plain, it does have a tendency to get really, really windy in Parker, which is not a huge deal for most people until it gets really cold out. And then it is a bit different of an experience, if you will, from, say, western suburbs where it gets windy, but the mountains cut off quite a bit of it. And that's why you will hear a lot of people reference Parker wind. And Parker geographically is long and narrow. So it runs north and south along Highway 83 or Parker Road. And this really dictates the traffic flow. So when you hear about Parker, people have a very popular opinion overall of Parker, but it tends to be the traffic and the commute that stick out to people. So the reason for that goes back to the artery. That Parker Road is that only main north-south artery. So if there's an accident somewhere along Parker Road, it can gridlock the town to a large extent. Now, traffic volume, your congestion is going to be typical of anywhere else. Call it between 7 and 9 a.m., between 3 to 6 p.m. And your speed limits along Parker will vary between 45 and 55. So that's where you get those frequent traffic lights. And that is, I'm just starting with one of the bigger frustrations people have about Parker. If they can deal with the commute and they can deal with those access points, everything else tends to come together for them. So Parker is home to roughly 60,000 residents, and it's a highly manicured, master plan feel. It's very low grit. There's no real industrial areas to speak of. It is a pretty town anywhere you really go within it. One of the key components that you'll hear time and time again from people is safety. That Parker consistently ranked as one of the safest towns in Colorado. It's typically low on violent crime. Most crime statistically is mostly property crime. We're talking garage break-ins, car thefts, if anything. And so that is one of the predominant reasons that people look towards Parker, is that safety and security feeling. It is also a family-centric town, no doubt about it. This is a town that shuts down early. This is not a place where singles are going to be out late partying after it. Most of that commute is going to be going into Denver for that. But it's a very popular area for those reasons. The safety feature, the quiet feature, and the amenities, just the aesthetics. Parker is a pretty town. Now, when you look at Parker, there are some key communities that people talk about all the time, and I want to cover a few of them here. Now, the first one is the Pinery or South Parker. The Pinery is technically its own town. It's unincorporated Douglas County. It's not town of Parker proper. is the proper verbiage there. And as far as homes there, you're going to see lot sizes that are larger. They're a quarter of an acre to an acre plus. The landscape, it's heavy tree coverage. It's like ponderosa pines everywhere. There are deer herds that you're going to see on a daily occurrence. The housing stock, mostly in the Pinery, you're going to see 1970s to 1990 builds. You're going to have a lot of privacy, nature, a lot of unique custom builds. There's not a cookie cutter feel in the Pinery. It really does kind of feel like you're in a forest without having to drive to the forest. Now, the cons of the Pinery, very quickly, will be you'll have a lot of septic tanks for many homes. You'll have older infrastructure, a further commute because you're in South Parker, so you're even farther south than the main town itself. You have strict agricultural control there. The HOAs have a lot of control over those things. And the last thing I would mention is the high renovation cost that tends to go with the area and some of the requirements to make those renovations. Next up, one of my favorite, and we have some great friends in this area, and that is Stonegate, which is North Parker, again, closer to Denver, if you will. A lot of master plan communities here. It is metro district heavy, so again, just kind of giving you some of those cons off the bat. Location, you're talking North End. It's closest to E470 and DTC. This tends to be one of those neighborhoods that's really good for commuters as far as Parker goes. Amenities, you're talking about a massive focus on community life. There's multiple pools, there's tennis courts, there's trails within the neighborhood. There is a lot going on here. Housing stock, again, you're talking homes that were built in the late 90s, early 2000s. High density, a lot of them are really close together. Again, one of the perhaps cons that people will bring up is those small lots. Houses do look similar in this area. There's high HOA or metro district fees relative to the home value in this area. But for a lot, the location, the commute, a lot of people will choose Stonegate. Idlewild is next. Idlewild is central southeast Parker, a really cool community. It's got a modern farmhouse vibe to it, where it was really this cool aesthetic before it was trendy, if you will. So the amenities there, you've got the grand hall, which is their clubhouse. They've got a pool that's really kind of resort style. And it's a very social neighborhood when you get into Idlewild. Your housing stock, you're talking higher end production homes, like village homes. It's a great community feel, really high resale demand there. Again, one of the more popular communities in all of Parker. Cons, I mean, it's at a premium price point. It's gonna be one of your higher priced communities in Parker. And this is kind of for tract homes. It's not unique custom builds like you might see in the Pinery. So you're paying a higher price point, but you're not necessarily getting, this beautiful aesthetic home. It's kind of a tract home, if you will. Kind of rolling along with some of these other neighborhoods I would check out is Stepping Stone. So Stepping Stone is West Parker. Shea Homes is the primary builder there. I mean, there's some others, but they are known for their modern layout. So west of Parker Road, near I-25 and Ridgegate. It's technically Parker address, but I mean, it really does feel like its own separate town once you get there. The demographic here is it tends to skew younger families and tech workers. I mean, that's not saying that that's everybody, but that is one of the demographics that tends to skew there. As far as pros, really easy access to Lone Tree and Ridgegate, very modern amenities. They've got a pool, they've got the Lantern House, which is really cool to check out. Cons is that you're isolated from Main Street Parker. So this area, Stepping Stone, tends to feel a little isolated from downtown Parker. It kind of feels like it's on an island, if you will. And then the last neighborhood to cover before we get into some of the amenities of Parker itself is Pradera. So Pradera is far south Parker, and we're talking a luxury golf course community, one of the more popular, esteemed areas, if you will. Esteemed, like I should twist my mustache, I don't have one. But you're talking price points here above $1 million. I mean, many of these properties you're getting above $3 million on, a pretty nice area to take a look at. We're talking custom and semi-custom built luxury builds. Obviously, you have a private golf course there. The Club of Pradera is one of the more popular golf courses in the Denver metro area. It does require a separate, pretty expensive membership, to be clear. And then the cons as far as Pradera, which maybe you won't care if you're buying a $3 million house, because you probably don't have to drive to an office on somebody else's clock. But the cons is the commute is significant. You are essentially at this point in Castle Rock territory regarding your distance to Denver. So you have a bit of a drive to get there if you're coming from Pradera. But feel free, if you move to Pradera and join the golf club, the community there, feel free to invite me. I'm not great at golf, but I'm getting better. We can have a day of it. Now, I mentioned this commute. I do think it's important to discuss very quickly kind of some timelines to be expecting when we're talking about Parker. And I'm probably going to be conservative here. So again, people always like to argue with me that commutes are faster than I suggest. That's fine. I typically go off of Google. But from the kind of the heart of Parker to DTC, you're looking at about 20 to 30 minutes. It's pretty manageable. To downtown Denver on a good day is about 45 minutes. Just being realistic. And this is where people are going to blow me up. If you're talking rush hour, ugly, there's a wreck on Parker Road, you can expect an hour. You can expect 75 minutes plus from certain areas of Parker to get to the heart of Denver if you're dealing with some pretty nasty traffic. It can happen. This is usually when somebody tells me that they can drive from Colorado Springs to Denver in 50 minutes, but that's fine. They have a rocket ship. There are some other ways to get in and out of Parker. You have E470, which is a toll road, and this is kind of a necessity. It is the only reliable fast way out of North Parker. It can be expensive. I mean, your daily round trip to the airport or North Metro, can run you, $5, $10, $15 if you're in some express lanes. You're going through a lot of the tolls. I would budget. It could easily be a couple $100 budget if you're taking a lot of express, you're taking a lot of tolls, you're going to the airport. I mean, we're talking a ton. Realistically, I drive all over Denver. I spend probably $40, $50 a month to give you some type of suggestion. Well, let's jump into some fun stuff, and that is the amenities of Parker. What makes it such a popular town? And that starts with, and if you've seen any of my videos, you know a love for downtown. And downtown Parker is fantastic. It's walkable. It has your Main Street area. It's a cultural hub. Again, it's walkable. It's lined with shops, restaurants, things to do, local restaurants. Just a really great area. Now, the heart of Parker is O'Brien Park, right there in the heart, the centerpiece of downtown. It features a gazebo, it's got a playground, it's got a water park, H2 O'Brien, just a really fantastic area. Now, parking can surprisingly be pretty difficult on the weekends. Just to be clear, Parker can get pretty packed, but a great downtown area. Now, your food scene in Parker, I just want to be clear, can be pretty chain heavy. There's some great restaurants in Parker, no doubt about it, but about 80% of your restaurants there are going to be chains. You're going to get your Chili's, your Texas Roadhouses, and these are all located on Parker Road. And they're kind of the stuff that you expect to see when you drive through a town. You kind of expect you're going to see these restaurants. That's what you get. Certainly some great restaurants downtown, and there's some local standouts. Parker Garage, which is one of my it's kind of upscale, one of my favorite spots to hit during the summertime. Rory's Diner for breakfast, West Main Tap Room. And Parker's one of those towns when you get down, we're going to talk about the brewery scene, like Barnett and Son, Downhill Brewing, which is good, but it's kind of a small scene. Downhill Brewing is fantastic, but the brewery scene of Parker is kind of small in regard to some of the other suburbs you might run into. But Parker's one of those towns where when you get downtown, it just comes alive. There's music playing everywhere. There's a lot of little outdoor areas where people are playing. Most of the restaurants and bars and shops have, the big garage doors that open up. It's just an open space. It just feels really good. And it's one of those downtowns that it's not big by any means, but it gives you enough. It gives you enough that if you live in that community, you can go down there for a night, a lot of events that occur. You don't necessarily feel the need that you have to get downtown or you have to go somewhere else for an enjoyable evening. Or an enjoyable afternoon for that matter. As far as outdoor recreation, Parker has a lot of trails, a lot of different things happening. Cherry Creek Trail, which is paved trails that run through the heart of Parker. And this connects you, that Cherry Creek Trail runs all the way into Denver. It's 25 miles of trail plus, and it runs all the way down into Franktown to the south as well. You also have Ruder Hess Reservoir. I know I'm going to pronounce that wrong. I do it every time and somebody's going to comment on it and I will correct it in the future. That's how I learned how to say Pooter River up in Fort Collins correctly. But that is a recently opened reservoir there and it's limited to recreation. So you got a lot of paddle boarding, kayaking is allowed, no swimming, which is kind of humorous, and this is just what the website told me, so forgive me for this. It's also December, so there's not a lot of swimming right now. So you can paddleboard, you can kayak. If you fall off your kayak, you fall off your paddleboard, get right back on. Okay, don't swim. And then it also features an incline, which is a great fitness stair to go climb there. And then you have rec centers. Parker Recreation Center is state of the art. It's got a lot of heavy traffic. It's hard to get to machines at peak times, but I mean, it is a phenomenal place to go. And a couple of the key components of Parker that I would end with. Parker is, I think, the originator, the OG, if you will, of community events. They have long been known for this. Those include Parker Days. This is a massive 3-day festival in June. They get 100,000 plus attendees. It can be a traffic nightmare, but I mean, it is a huge local tradition, one of the most popular. You got a farmer's market Sundays on Main Street, very popular. You get high quality vendors. Christmas, they got the mayor's tree lighting and carriage rides are a major draw. You got trunk or treats. They have a jazz festival out there. And when I say that Parker was the original, they were the community that you always heard about them doing their events. And that has spread to other communities. Not that they didn't have them before, but Parker, I think, was one of the leaders in that area, showing, hey, this is how we can get the community together, and other suburbs followed. And then schools, certainly important to a lot of people, whether you have kids or not. I mean, good schools tend to be around good areas. So Douglas County School District, this is an open enrollment school district. You can live in Stonegate and choose into another school in the neighborhood. You don't have to necessarily be in the neighborhood. Of course, if you are in that specific area, you do get priority, no question about it. High school is popular in the area. Legend, it's a newer, very popular, kind of a status school. They're Legend. Chaparral is an established, strong sports. Ponderosa, the original Parker High School, it's smaller, kind of tight-knit there at Ponderosa. I know I mispronounced the second one. And again, I just cannot wait for that. I mean, I know the areas, but sometimes words. I just learned how to read yesterday. And the last thing a lot of people are going to ask is, well, how much does Parker cost? How much does it cost to live there? So Parker is going to be on the higher end, especially when we're talking about eastern suburbs. Let's face it, the west side of town tends to be more expensive. You're closer to the mountains, views, amenities, all of those things. East side of town, you tend to get more affordability. That doesn't necessarily spread to Parker. So your median price of homes in Parker hovers between the mid 600s to low 700,000s as of the tail end of 2025. Now, there are some tax distinctions to be aware of here. Incorporated Parker will have higher sales taxes and city services. That's again around the heart of Parker. You get into unincorporated Douglas County, areas like Stonegate, the Pinery, you're going to have lower sales taxes. You're going to be under sheriff jurisdiction instead of Parker Police. You're often going to have higher HOA or Metro District fees to cover services that the town itself doesn't provide. Just be aware of that. And as far as mill levies, the taxes, those vary really widely on these those metro districts. So newer neighborhoods like Stepping Stone, they have much higher tax rates than something like the Pinery. But overall, just an incredible community, if I can get my words to work. And I will say this, and I've said this to countless people, and I truly believe it. I've lived on the west side of town my entire life, at least as far as my life in Colorado, which is the majority of it. I have never considered moving to the east side of town. And a lot of people, if you talk to them about growing up in the Denver metro area, they tend to stay to the side they were raised on. If you were raised over on the east side of town, you stay on the east side. Raised on the west. If I were to move to the east side of town, if tomorrow I just found out you got to be somewhere east of I-25, Parker is hands down the community that I would explore to live. I think it is a fantastic town, and it is also one of those towns where anyone that has moved to that area has always come back to me with a positive response of it. For what it's worth, that's what I would say to you. In the meantime, if you have any questions about Parker or any other area of the Denver Metro and Colorado Front Range for that matter, that's when my number and email is here on the screen. Know that I'm always there to be a resource for you in any way, shape, or form I can. In the meantime, this is Destination Denver, Colorado. I'm your host, Jimmy Everett. That was everything you need to know about Parker, Colorado before you move there. Till I see you next time. Peace.